Celtics Beat is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey everybody, new edition of Celtics Beat, mid-September season, training camp, all of it right around the corner. Thrilled to be back with you, Adam Kaufman, Evan Valenti. We are always here, and this week, not unlike other weeks, we always pump up our guests. We're always excited, but this particular one, you can see if you're watching on YouTube on the CLNS Media Network page, someone that we have not had on in quite a little while. You're used to seeing him probably on CLNS because he's got his own podcast, co-hosts the Cedric Maxwell podcast, but we always love when he drops by with us. You've heard him on the airways for years and years and years. Calling games before that, played for the Celtics, and as we mentioned off the top, an MVP of the NBA Finals. Max, welcome to the show, man. It's good to see you again.
Hey, gentlemen, thank you for having me. I'm just absolutely blown away with the way the season went to be on your show right now. And the first question I have to ask you guys, and I'm gonna start it out because
turn the tables. I like it.
I've been on the internet. People have been calling me up since Al Horford retired. I was like, what? I said, is that true? So I need to ask you off the top. I think Al Horford's coming back for another year, but a bunch of my friends, and I happened to see it on the internet the other day, like, goodbye, Al. I'm like, he's going to leave $10 million on the table? I don't think so.
The first place that I would look would be Anna Horford's Twitter page to find out if Al Horford retired. And I haven't seen her posting anything about it. Hers is all like, debate coverage and that type of thing. No, I think Al's good. I think Al's coming back. Al's got a pretty good situation. Now, he may feel a little retired over the course of the year because I think that's how little he's going to play, Max. I think we're looking at some serious load management for Al Horford this coming year. We expected it the last couple of years as well as he just gets older. He's not going to play these back-to-backs. The minutes are going to be down. I don't think they're going to overwork him during the absence of Kristaps Porzingis as he recovers from his injury. The message, the goal is obviously keep Al bubble wrap basically as long as you can so that you have him as healthy as possible come the playoffs. Nothing changes with Al Horford there. So obviously he hasn't literally retired, but I wouldn't expect to see him out there more than an average of 25 minutes a game?
Yeah. I think that's true. I think if I look at Al right now, that they protected him last year, did a good job, and when it came down at the end without Kristaps Porzingis in, Al was able to step in, and the Celtics never missed a beat. So I think that you look at him as one of these pieces you have that you're going to utilize, protect them as much as possible, and make sure, again, that he has plenty of gas in the tank when playoffs begin.
So, Max, we got to bring something up we'll circle back to the team and all that fun stuff. But Ev mentioned something just prior to you jumping into our call here or our show that I thought was a really good question. I'm kind of stealing his thunder, but I'm doing it deliberately to lead in here because we were talking to you when you came on. And before that, Ev's like, what do you think? Like, who calls Max Cornbread? Like, obviously, we know it's the nickname, but like, who? What privilege do you need to earn to be in that club? Like, we don't even call him Cedric, like most people. We call him Max. Like, everyone just calls Cedric Maxwell Max. It feels like it would be a short list on the Cornbread front, and then you come in, you're talking about how Ice Cube was on your podcast recently, and you met him for the first time, and he comes over and he's shout right off the hop, it's Cornbread.
No, I wish he would. I wish he said Cornbread, but he looked at me and said, "Motherfucking Cornbread." I was like, that. But I think it is people.
How do you get in the club?
No. I think it's people who don't know me. If you know me around the Celtics or you've been around the Celtics that long, you call me Max. But if you're not around this team, that's who you're probably going to call me because you might know me in another way when I played or when I was in school and all those other things. But for the most part, it's not a privilege. It's people who people who don't know me that well. That's when you see people call me Cornbread.
See, I feel like it would go the other way. I feel like a nickname like that would be like the closest of friends. Max is like, that's like people call me Cough for short. Like everyone does that.
my closest of friends never would say cornbread. No, I mean, because like they would tease me and say that. Maybe like a guy like Bob McAdoo, my good friend, the Hall of Famer, he called me bread. But that's basically it. Cornbread, now that doesn't happen as much. Somebody might want to ask me a question or two about how I got that nickname, but
Sure,
that you're on a very, very short list if you say cornbread, because you can imagine most fans who are in the arena or who are around me or you see me out, first thing people say, Max, hey Max, what's going on? How you feeling, Max? What's happening? So the one I'd love to give would be Cedric. I never get my first name. I don't get that anymore. See, I think only my mom, now that's the short list. Only my mom calls me that, and that's when I'm in trouble.
so for people who don't know, and honestly, I'm not sure I remember, we've probably talked about it before, but where did it come from?
Came from a movie called Cornbread, Earl and Me, during the middle 70s. Jamal Wilkes portrayed a basketball player, and I had that same body frame as Jamal when I was coming up in school. And people saw me in that movie and said, man, you look just like Cornbread. You like Cornbread. And then we went to the NIT and we were playing, and my teammates used to call me the franchise. And then it went from the franchise to they were teasing me in front of the reporters at the NIT. And the reporter was talking to me, and one of them just yelled out, Cornbread. And the reporter was like, what? It did. And that's how it stuck. The reporter wrote it down, and it went on from there. So I was Cornbread from then on.
If that's the nickname I'd want, I want people to call me franchise. That's a pretty good one.
Neither of us are carrying any franchise at all whatsoever.
No.
The boys used to say that and tease me of it. They always used to love to tease me because I always picked at them, but they always say, oh, that's the franchise right there. It's like, okay, all right.
That's just I'll take that. Franchise is like, I think like S tier, tippity top tier of like, if you're an athlete and they're calling you the franchise, big things are expected out of you.
Yeah, it's a high level of respect right there.
Yeah, not too many people get dubbed the franchise, I don't think. And it's like it's like, again, it's reserved for like a Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady, like that's you don't get that unless you're the tippity top of the spear.
Well, at UNC Charlotte, I was that because they haven't had a player that has come through since then. I think of Rodney White came through, who played with UNCC for a minute, got drafted early, but just had a cup of coffee. But unfortunately, nobody's had my success in the NBA.
Yeah, speaking of success, and I hope that Jaylen Brown is not listening to this podcast, but the franchise is Jason Tatum. I think we know that, despite obviously the Eastern Conference and the NBA Finals MVP trophies, and Jaylen Brown doing all that he did in the postseason. If you were to ask the average person outside of Jason Kidd, who is the number one person on this Celtics team, and not just like number one paid, the number one, even if you want to say 1A, 1B, who's the 1A? It's Jason Tatum. And so Tatum, he's kind of doing the offseason tour, the little bit of offseason that he has now after obviously the Olympics and everything. It's been a busy time for him, but he was just on Jimmy Fallon a couple nights back promoting his new children's book and talking about how even Deuce, his son, is getting a championship ring. I thought that was interesting. I didn't know family members get championship rings. So that was something new to me anyway, or maybe it's just incredibly unique. But Tatum is on top of the world. Yeah. And Fallon asked him, who he thinks is going to win MVP this coming year. And he paused and he said, can I say myself? That has gotten a lot of reaction in the NBA community, even though whether he was serious or joking, either way, just saying it, even if we say like there's a hint of truth in every joke, right? It's been sort of a lightning rod kind of comment, especially from a guy who's no longer invited on the duck boats during parades, Kendrick Perkins. Perk, did you catch Perk's comments the other day or yesterday?
I did not.
So Perk was, doing whatever. I don't think it was it NBA Countdown, whatever show was on that he was on ESPN. He was asked for, I think Malika Andrews said, we haven't had Perk's word of the day in a while. What's your word of the day? In response to this, topic. And Perk said, selfish. I think Jason Tatum is being selfish if he is going out there and chasing any individual awards in a title defense. What do you think?
Well, I don't think you have to chase it. I think that it comes to you. It's going to come to you with your play. Selfish would be not passing the ball or doing all those other things to win basketball games. I can't see how you put selfish in. If that's a goal that you'd like to have, was Joel Embiid, was he selfish? Was Jokic? Is there anybody ever said Jokic was selfish? The guy asked him a question. And if you are a real competitor and if you're one of the top players in this league, why would you back away from it? You say, yeah, why not me? I mean, I think the thing about him, I was talking to a couple of people, and one of them was Michael Felger. And Michael Felger was like, well, what does Tatum have to live for now? I said, you said it yourself. He has more meat on the bone because, one, he wasn't the MVP. Wasn't an MVP in the finals. Brown has the same thing on the bone right now. He got snubbed off the Olympic team. I mean, Jason Tatum has lived to be one of the best players in the NBA. How much does he have to be slapped around? And, oh, my God, he didn't play. Oh, it was so unfair. Steve Kerr I can't believe that Steve Kerr did this to him. I was like, he wasn't playing well. Steve Kerr's job as a coach is to win the Olympic medal with guys who are playing well. Did Tatum not get opportunities to play in the game? Yeah. And we know what Tatum looks like when he is confident. And we've seen that before. But he also, in the Olympics, he looked a lot like he was in Golden State, in that Golden State series where, he just couldn't get it together. So I wouldn't worry about him. As I tell my friends before, I said the man just signed a contract for $300 million. He has a new baby. He has a children's book. He's a great-looking kid. He's 20-something years old. What are we looking at when we're talking about we need to slap this kid around? And on top of that, he's a nice kid. He's a great kid. He's the kind of kid you say if you have a daughter, you're like, damn, I wouldn't. She married him, I'd be like, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, he was respectful. When have we seen him? I mean, we talked off air a minute ago about LeBron and him. What controversy have we seen with Jason Tatum? Mm-hmm. What have we seen that makes us go, oh my God, he's trouble on the stick? Because he said, the guy asked him a question about MVP, which was a lead-on question, and he said that. I don't. Perk's my guy, but I am so far away from that. I don't even know what to say.
No, it makes sense. And it's like, as you said, your play will dictate how this goes. And I don't know about you, Max, Adam. I think you and I have had plenty of conversations about this. I think Tatum has matured through the years, no question, with the guy he was previously. I remember rookie year, he's standing in the corner. Buddy, your job is to shoot open threes and attack closeouts. And now he's playing point guard on offense and center on defense. Like, that's, to me, I don't know about you, Max, that's a pretty unselfish guy right there who's willing to distribute the basketball and then guard whatever he is to guard on the other end. I think, if you're making the case of selfish, like I wouldn't put Jason Tatum in there. I'm putting other guys way, and that was the secret sauce this year, Max. It was the unselfishness of the 23-24 Celtics that really got them to the promised land this year. You agree with that?
Absolutely. I think if you look at Brown, what he did, you guys said before, the franchise is Jason Tatum. Yeah. But, and Brown probably realizes that, but he realizes that Jason Tatum can't be the player he is unless Brown is a player that he is. And I understood that in 1981. I was a Finals MVP. But does that make me a better player than Larry Bird? No. I understood that Larry Bird was a better player, but Larry Bird understood that at that particular time, I played well enough to be the Finals MVP. No slight, no slap at him. The thing that really probably helped him out more is he came back and became an MVP in two championships later on, in 1984 and 1986. So it gives a player like that much more fire to get out and play well.
We've been talking, Max, on the show for the last few weeks, actually, about sort of the Celtics, how they're going to handle being the hunted, right? You could argue they've been the hunted because they've been a title contender. They've been in the title conversation, even at some points the title favorite in recent years. But there's a difference between that and being one of the group versus being the ones that actually get to hoist the trophy, raise the banner, all of that. So now that is obviously the Boston Celtics. And, coming off of sort of that, people don't like to phrase it this way, but that extra little bit of motivation, like you're talking about with Brown chasing the things that he was snubbed for, or Tatum chasing the things that he, had to deal with in terms of, things that caught him on the wrong side, given the chip on the shoulder for these two prominent stars on this team. Joe Mazzulla did an interview last week and was talking about how, he doesn't want a target on their back. He wants the red dot on his forehead. That's, Psycho Joe kind of comment stuff about how they're going out there and this is who they are. They're staring all challengers in the face. Come and get us, come and knock us off, all of that. It's one thing to talk about it, though. It's another thing to do it. And you are on in the grand scheme of the NBA, a short list of players that, has had that opportunity of winning a championship, like we talked about, finals MVP as well, and coming back the following year and trying to do it again. So what is that like emotionally in that room, knowing that, all right, you're the best, you brought everybody back, everyone got paid, so no one's even coming back looking for a new contract to be rewarded. Like, that's all been squared away. Now they just need to go out there and actually do the job.
And I think that, I'll be like you guys. This is how I felt about this season. As excited as I was about the Boston Celtics winning, I think I was more relieved that they won. Yeah. It was relief after having a great season and then not stepping on their toe and getting through the playoffs and winning it. It was more relief. So this year, there's not going to be as much pressure. Joe Mazzulla said that to me. He said, I was talking to him one day about Jason Tatum. He said, I can't have all that pressure on Tatum. I said, how are you going to do that, Joe? This is impossible. Social media, what we're doing right now, what fans do right now, that's going to be on them. You're not going to have the pressure on Joe Mazzulla. Joe, you went out and won one. Joe Mazzulla, you think how he was slapped around. He's not good. He can't do. I've had several friends of mine who said, Joe Mazzulla can't coach. And end up winning the championship. So the fact that they don't have the pressure on them, they shouldn't because they won it. So now you can go out and relax. They might be a better team this year than they were last year. The big thing is going to be, can they be healthy? Paul Pierce's team with Kevin Garnett. The next year after they won it, they were a better team until Kevin Garnett went down.
Yeah.
That team was killing everybody the first half of the first quarter of the season. When 28-3, something crazy like. And then Kevin Garnett goes down. So health is going to be the most important thing to me. You're bringing the band back. The band's coming back, which is great. Can you do it? And then the band is also the big thing. The band is healthy. And the band is young. So if you can be healthy and you have Kristaps Porzingis bubble wrap again until after Christmas, can he play? And can he bring what he brought to the table last year? There's so many things that you look at this team. They can be much better. And it's scary to say that. Derek White was damn near all-star last year. And Drew Holiday stepped into a whole nother level. The person I felt the worst about was actually, I felt bad for Marcus Smart because he wasn't there to win it. Because I thought he deserved to be there to win it. But they made a change. And the fit that you had with Drew Holiday, proof is in the pudding. As much as I love Marcus, this team played better with Drew Holiday out there. So I don't see a lot of the impediments for me are not necessarily that, teams are going to come at you. I think they are. But if you stay healthy and you stay to who you are, this league is a copycat league. Teams are going to try to duplicate the Celtics' success.
Quick break from today's show to tell you today's show is powered by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. And it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and just watch the winnings roll in. You get on the daily action with your friends and become part of the ginormous Prize Picks community today. And with football season coming, folks, we have so many opportunities to play every single week. And Prize Picks is a bonus for Caleb Williams in week 1. He has to throw 1 passing yard. Okay? Every week in September, 1 passing yard gets you 1 win. It's a free win from Prize Picks. Every single football weekend in September, he has to throw for 1 yard. You think Caleb Williams can throw for 1 yard every single weekend? I think so. That's a good play. Easy play. Easy play. Easy money. You think Tyreek Hill's going to get over at 90.5 yards in week 1? Or Aaron Jones is going to run for more than 66.5 yards in week 1? Well, cook up your hot takes with your friends and win real money this football season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. It's super easy, right? Again, if you want to bank money, that Caleb Williams one is super easy. Every single week, I mean, I know the Patriots offensive line is bad, but I would take a look at what Ramondre Stevenson's rushing yards are because they're probably going to be pretty low. Take a look at that. All right, just an idea for you guys out there, okay? It's going to be super fun, super easy, and you can join today by going to the Prize Picks app. You can download it, use the code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. I made my first $10 deposit. I received an instant $10 bonus, right? It's super easy. If you have the skills, you can play for a shot at turning your $10 into $1,000. Again, that's go to the Prize Picks app, download that code CLNS, and you get a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, run your game. You can already see it happening in Olympic basketball. I mean, South Sudan did the best job they could do, and it just by chucking up a bunch of threes and making a bunch of them and giving people some serious run for their money. One of the things that I think it's lost about this season, and I'd love your perspective on this because you've seen more basketball than either of us. Sorry, Adam. But
true. Can't argue.
I think that given the amount of doubt, right? Everybody, and you talked about this, like there was so much pressure on this team to win it this year. And it became really annoying to me as someone who's trying to watch the steps and look for things. Nothing they did during the regular season mattered to anybody. It's like, oh, yeah, that's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Meanwhile, they had more 50-point wins, more 40-point wins, more 30-point. The stat, right? They just blew out everybody. They had 64 wins. I feel like we're losing the context of how historically great that one season just was because it was offensively one of the most prolific teams we've ever seen. Do you feel like if they go back to back, I know we're pushing this out, but if they were able to do this, become the first team to do it since Golden State did it, would it put this season in better perspective of, oh, this Celtics team was actually one of the best teams we've seen in recent memory?
It solidifies everything that you looked at, because for me, and just like you guys, to me last year when they won it, it just felt like the pressure was off. I didn't even feel like celebrating. It was like, oh, they won. Okay, great. This year, if they can come back and do it again this year, now you start talking about Celtic history. How many teams have gone back to win it in Celtic history? The great Larry Bird's team, we did not do it, go back to back. Paul Pierce and his group didn't go. You had to go back to Bill Russell's time, I think, when you talk about the Celtics winning back-to-back championships. So, and it puts them in it's a rare feat. You think about it, teams to do that, three-peat. I have a friend of mine who is a pastor who I played with, and he's a big Laker fan. And I'm in church with him. He said, the Holy Trinity. He said, it's in church. He said, the Lakers three-peat was the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I was like, God, how would you bring the Lakers into that kind of stuff? Talking about them. But he talked about the three-peat. But yeah, if they can win again, I think what it does, it shuts everybody's mouth. And you have to say, this is a great team. On paper, this was, you said, look at the stats on this team. But nobody cared. Nobody cared what this team did last year, individually. Sean Grande, my broadcast partner, kept pointing it out to me over and over. This is the greatest statistical team maybe in the history of basketball. And I'm looking at him like, and that'll give you a token on the subway? No. People in Boston, here's the thing. People in Boston don't care about that. It's about winning the championship. When the Patriots were, what were they? The greatest team ever to play. And they were what? It was a 16 or 17-0. Which was it?
17-0. Well, it was 16-0, and then they went 18-1. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and
18-0 before screwing it up.
Okay. So when they lost, what did people think then? They had one of the greatest regular seasons of all time. How did we feel in Boston about that when they lost it?
Devastated.
Sadness. Yeah.
Wow, sadness and devastation. Two words I didn't look for your show, but I'll take it. But yeah, those are things
unfinished
you look at
business that will haunt them forever.
Yes. Those are you think about. I remember Sean Grande was saying that to me. He's like, you have to admit right now that the Patriots are the greatest team ever to play. I said, Sean, let them play one more game before you like my man would say, before you crown their asses, okay? You want to crown them? My man Green said that, Coach Green. You want to crown their asses. But look, let them play one more game and win. And that's the same thing I feel about this team. The stats were great. Can they start off again having those kind of stats will be great. But they are going to be the hunted. The first game of the season against the dreaded New York Knicks, who have loaded up. There are teams right now waiting for them. The difference between this team, though, and the last team that won, I'm thinking about Denver, was the fact that Denver didn't bring everybody back. The Boston Celtics have brought everybody back.
Yeah,
everybody. It's not out the top 8 players, and then you add in some more players to the mix. Where is this team going to be? And again, it's going to be the key is how soon can Kristaps Porzingis come back?
For anyone that does not know, just going back through it, solidify it, and to let Max know that he was right as well. So obviously, you had the 8 in a row that everybody knows about, and then Celtics lost in the East Division Finals. Then under Russell and with Russell, they won 2 more in 68 and 69, and then that is the last time they went back-to-back. 2 out of 3 under Tom Heinsohn, 2 out of 3 years later under Casey Jones. That was, of course, mid-'80s, as you well know. And then, ever since then, just the couple of championships sprinkled in to begin with. So, yeah, going back to back.
How about this? How spoiled are people about the Celtics? Because I hear a lot of people saying the Celtics haven't been relative in so many years. And How about some of these damn teams like Utah has never won it? Teams that they have never won it. And all of a sudden, you're talking about the Celtics who won more championships now than anybody, Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was some truth to it in the mid to late 90s. The Celtics had abandoned a little bit of relevance, but certainly not in recent history. I mean, we're talking about a team that's gone to at the very least, the conference finals, the Final Four, 6 out of 8 years, something like that it's been. So, I mean, the Celtics are the extremity of relevant. They're right there at the end every single year. And that's even with a lot of injuries along the way. They have still pushed and been able to get there. But last year, we spent a lot of time talking about this on the show at the time. Last year, they finally stay healthy at the most important time of the year and finish the job.
Everybody said, I heard a couple of, I think it was Colin Coward, he was saying that he said the Celtics right now, they are the Buffalo Bills. They get there and they don't win it. He was right in the fact you point at it, but this team was much better than that. And now that they won it, it's like I'm almost like the guys. Now what are they gonna say about that?
Yeah, all that crap goes away.
What you got to say about that now? What do you have to say? Michael Thompson, who is my counterpart who works with the Lakers, all he said, "Oh, you guys aren't going to win. You're dead." And all those Laker fans and Laker players over there hating on it was anybody but the Celtics. it was anybody but. It's like, come on, are you serious here?
When last year when those deals were made, take us back if you can in your memory a year ago, effectively, when obviously they do deal away Marcus Smart and
crushed.
Me too. I mean, we're big fans of Smart on this show. They bring in Kristaps Porzingis, and at the time, I had some real roster questions.
Real
make
doubt
up with this group.
You had some real doubt.
Yeah, I did. In terms of the way that it was. But then obviously Drew Holiday falls into their laps. It changes everything. They effectively get a better and older version of
but did you really think that Kristaps was going to play the way he was and become a crowd favorite? This dude, it was like I didn't see that coming. And here's the thing that people will not talk about: the fact that Kristaps Porzingis actually made Brown a more real player last year. And the fact that I've never seen Brown smile as much or have this good time. The thing that him and Kristaps, cookies and cream, they named themselves. I think Ben and Jerry might have something to say about that. The ice cream maker, but it was a comfort to him, which I had not seen with this team in a long time. He was that security blanket. And he made everybody feel better. And again, I just couldn't believe the way the crowd responded to Kristaps. There was like everybody for a while. Everybody was. I know all the reporters, along with myself, were apprehensive when it came to Kristaps. We really, Brad, really? That's where you're going? But Brad knew better. And the job that Brad Stevens has done since Danny Ainge has left. Mm-hmm. Danny's my guy. But Brad has taken this shit to another level. It's like Brad is the guy, the Midas touch. He's like, damn, it's like everything he touches turns to freaking gold. I'm like, to go out and say, okay, to get Joe Mazzulla, nobody saw. Did any of us think that when you lost your last coach, that Joe Mazzulla was going to be the guy when you looked at that bench over there? And you
I figured it'd be Stoudemire.
Stoudemire was the guy. He was going to be the choice. But no, I'm getting Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla's been perfect for this team. I mean, he will fight people tooth and nail. He is the anti Terry Francona. That's who he is to the press. Terry Francona and Doc Rivers, they smooth with every one of the media guys, and everybody in the media love those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I will say,
he's Belichick. That's who he is. That's who he is. He's the black Belichick. That's who the hell. That's who he is. He doesn't get along with you, you guys. With me, not bad because I was a former player and he knows me. But for most, he is. He wants to be honorary, even if you ask him the most layup question. And he'll go out of his way to give you some, convoluted answer, which makes no sense to the question that was asked to him. Exactly. And so, Coach, how is it to be the first two black coaches? Or why are we talking about that? Or is the other black coaches, does he believe in Jesus Christ? What does that got to do with anything, man?
But he said it with Krausev. We were talking about it last week that he prefers to be that guy. It's not like he falls into this, it's like a defense mechanism or whatever else. No, he's just like that's sort of him being true to himself. He wants to be that guy. He the happy jolly doing an interview guy.
Belichick. If we've seen anybody in Boston in a while, Belichick. When have we seen Belichick smile other than after he wins it? And then when he's on a podcast later on, he's like, oh, damn, he's Mr. Jolly Jokester. It's like, you know, it's like,
super jovial with his 15 media gigs now.
You would never think the man had teeth during the time that when you're interviewing him during the season. They ask him a question, who's going to play? No, who's going to be on the roster? I'll say on Sunday. Now everybody's around. If they're available, they want to play. And then I can't get anything out of you that is like, so I think it's just, I think that's who Joe Mazzulla wants to be. And he's become that person. And if you watch him, he's true to himself. If you guys have ever watched his team, his coaches practice, they have these games, these coaches games before, on a game day in the Garden. It might as well be rollerball. Them dudes just tackling each other. Joe Mazzulla got a black eye from playing in that game. That's how passionate he is about giving no quarter to anybody who's out there.
And honestly, like I know he's unique in his own way, but I kind of love the way he approaches certain things. He often will try and flip things on its head. It's like, okay, so this is wrong, but why is it wrong? Why is that way wrong and this way right? But what if we tried the other way? One of the things I love is the fact that, he talks about offense and defense and the flow of the two leading to each other. Like, if you miss a shot on one end and then you get back on defense, it makes your life better on the other end because of the flow of the game. He compares it to soccer a lot, which I think is really quite brilliant. And yeah, he's a little different, like flat out. He is
a little. Are we going
different.
With a little different?
But as you said, though, he's got buy-in from every single person on the bench, whether it's coach or player. So what does that say? Exactly. Everybody has bought into who he is, and every player believes in what Joe believes in. And because of that, I looked at Brad Stevens when Brad Stevens had a team with Kyrie and a young Jason Tatum and too much talent. The thing that Brad couldn't do was he couldn't say, dude, you're not going to play tonight. You can't have everybody playing. That's why I thought Steve Kerr, as much as I know I might want to be the few people around who will say it, like Steve Kerr's job was to win the Olympic medal. I don't give a damn what Tatum, how he felt. Is he playing well? Well, right now, who am I going to go with? So, and that's the way I feel with Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla is like, look, there are going to be guys who aren't going to play for weeks at a time. But then when I call you, you better be ready. Tillman, you better be ready. This person, you better be ready. How about Pritchard? Not going to play in the playoffs. Hey, take some half-court shots.
Yeah, absolutely. You're your only points right here. These two baskets right here from half court. Like, but the guys believe in him. That play alone ended the championship for me right there. That play at the half court buzzer beater. I don't think I've heard the Garden that loud before, or seen. I remember seeing Sam Cassell as assistant coach. He wanted to run out on the floor, and then he realized who he was, and then ran back. He's like, all the players ran up. They wanted to chest bump and all that. But it was such an exciting play. I remember looking at it going, and I'm sitting there, and Sean says, hey, of course. And I go, oh! And it was like, it tore the roof off the building, but it told me right then and there it was over. Time to celebrate.
And we're powered by Game Time. Football season, it's here. Don't let people tell you football season's coming, because listen, the college football season, that is, literally days away. And the NFL season, that is beginning September 5th. It is right around the corner. The time to start planning is coming up. The season with our friends over at Game Time, a great opportunity to get out to games, obviously. Game Time is a new feature. It is called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams, like the Patriots, for instance, play live so easy, so incredibly easy. Ev. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff, okay? Shows you incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. There's so many other places that you get bogged down. Game Time, it just makes things so easy.
Yeah, my favorite part, I was scrolling through it the other day, and I was like, this is what's really great is sometimes you have a significant other at home, Adam. Some of us do as well. And sometimes you look at your significant other and say, what do you want to do today? Because I don't know. What do you want to do today? Well, guess what? Game Time has something for you. You can be a little spontaneous. Get a little inspiration from Game Time. Let them help you with their This Weekend tab. Scroll through and find some events that are, around your area. They'll give you the price of everything. You can grab your tickets, have them right on your phone out of the house. It only takes a few minutes for you to do so, and curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater. All of it is shown up front. No surprise fees at checkouts, which is my least favorite thing about buying tickets anywhere. And you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, Kaufman. It's just way easier.
Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Use Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CLNS. Again, that is code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code. It is CLNS, $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time. Let's get back to the show. So, Max, in this ramp up to a new year then, and seeing what they did last year, like you talked about it, I mean, they just utterly dominated the NBA, really wire to wire. I mean, ran away with the regular season. The playoffs were, there were moments in time, like the Pacers series, even though it was, a quick one, the games were competitive. Generally speaking, though, you look at their postseason, they rolled. I mean, they steamrolled. The Mavericks really didn't even have a chance in that NBA Finals series. So you look ahead to this coming year, other than obviously things you can't predict, like injury, heaven forbid. Hopefully this team stays healthy again, and hopefully every team stays healthy. I want to see the best be the best. I'm not ever rooting for injury or anything like that for the easier path. But if this Celtics team, like what we all believe what they're capable of, which is obviously going back to back, especially bringing everybody back. And Porzingis is going to return at some point, whether it's after the new year or whenever it is. What does get in their way? What prevents this team from winning consecutive championships outside of injury? Is there anything internally, or is there another team in the league that you think has closed the gap on them?
It's hard for me to see. I don't think. I think that the word I would look for would have been complacent. They would have been complacent with winning and dropping their shoulders. I don't see that happening because I think if anything, they have a bigger chip to prove that who they were. They have to prove to people again that they were that team because nobody believed it. Everybody looked at the regular season like, yeah, this has been the Celtics have always been dominant during the regular season, but yeah. They're gonna choke. They're choke artists. They're gonna do this. We saw them against them. Oh my God, how could Miami have beaten them? That's just when you see the Celtics almost made history. If Tatum doesn't go down, I believe they make history that year and they beat Miami. Being down the way they were. But I think it's hard for me to say anything. If they're healthy, mentally they're very strong. Emotionally, I think they're very strong. They have great guard play. They're outstanding from the three-point line. They're a good free throw shooting team. They defend the hell out of the basketball. Stop me when I get to that weakness that you talked about. Just someplace stop me here in a minute. When you say, what are their weaknesses? What are their weaknesses? They got a good bench. They got a long bench. They're a young team. You got a couple of older players, but as you said, they're going to bubble wrap those players and make sure they're well. I think the key to me might be Jrue Holiday though, with him being an older player right now, because you have not looked to, bubble wrap him. He's still playing big minutes. How do you cut down on his minutes? And will Lonnie Walker come in and be another, pebble in the foot the shoe of somebody else's in their shoe again if he comes in and plays well. So the Celtics keep getting richer, but to me, I don't see. I think the Knicks are going to be really good. That first game is going to be interesting. In the Eastern Conference, the experiment down there with Philly, getting Paul George. But still, I don't believe none of those teams I've talked about are as good as the Celtics. Can Milwaukee
Giannis and Dame look better in year two?
I think it's a bad fit. I don't see it being like, I mean, everybody, I would say Vegas, when they first got together, the odds of them winning the championship went up out the roof. But if you look at those two players together, Dame is a great offensive player. But defensively, you're going to have to stop somebody. And their guard play over there is they don't have anybody guard-wise. When you have that Drew Holiday and Derek White, and then you got Brown and Tatum, and you got Kristoff, you got the bench, you got Hauser. This team doesn't have there's not a lot of weaknesses that I really see with this team.
Their only weakness, Kaufman, to me, is the flexibility to do anything. But you don't need to do anything with this team if everybody's healthy. So
flexibility in what way? Trying to add another piece?
Yeah, you can't. From a cap standpoint, it's hard. But do you need to? This team's
exactly. What do you need? What do you need to put? You see a woman who's a 10. I would say, you know what? Let me see if I can get her some high heel shoes and send her to Victoria's Secrets. No, she's already a 10. She's good. She's good. You're not going to add, was it lipstick to a pig? It's going to be a pig. So I think that this team is the team who it is. I think that's where the flexibility is in making moves. What moves right now would you want to make for this team?
Zero. None at all. The Lonnie Walker thing, I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, how does Celtics end up with Lonnie Walker? Nobody else wants this guy. Like, come on, what are we doing here? It's rich keep getting richer. It's ridiculous.
Exactly the point, man. We're being on the Celtic beat. Your podcast, me being with that. How the hell would we feel if we were in Detroit right now? Well, we know you look at the season, you're going April 15th, well, Cancun, here we come. They
don't even know who they're playing. They don't even know if Cade Cunningham's any good, if Ivy's any good, or if they don't know. Yeah. It's and what? Those guys were top 5 picks. I don't know if they're good.
I mean, the Celtics and the broadcasters and the team, the organization, you have a bright future. You look at teams that don't have that future, and you're going, what are they going to do? What are those teams that are the bottom? If you were in Brooklyn right now, what the hell are you doing? What's Brooklyn going to do?
This is all obviously on the east side, and we'll wrap after this, Max. We won't keep you too long. But over there in the west, some stuff that we've explored in the past. Do you think that the playoffs were an indicator? This is Mavericks aside, that this is already turning over. That it's going to be the Thunder and the Timberwolves at the top, and that the Nuggets run, for lack of a better way of putting it, because obviously they only won one. Do you think that I don't want to say their window is closed. They still have the best player in the world, in my opinion. But but we're seeing a changing of the guard, that those young teams, OKC and Minnesota, they are taking over that conference at this point.
And then you still have, and look at Golden State, they still have the best shooter in the history of basketball. In the history of history, what we saw from Steph Curry was surreal. But I still think that the turnover you talk about, and you look at the teams at the bottom too. Look at San Antonio. How are they going to be?
Yeah.
How's the big
stuff? A couple years out, but they're coming.
How's the Frenchman going to be? Moving forward. How about New Orleans? Where Zion looked like he's finally mastered the fact that I can't eat everything down in Louisiana. I can't all that fried food and all that rich French and whatever. save that jambalaya. No, so I think the turnover ratio is going to be those teams that you talked about. I mean, OKC is going to be a beast here.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota still believes that they're going to be with Anthony Edwards. He believes he's the best player right now in the league. And we're not even talking about people like Phoenix. Where's Kevin Durant in the mix? Bradley Beal in the mix. I mean, where are those guys at? And everybody everybody thought for a while that the Clippers were going to be good, and now what do they look like going into a new arena? And God forbid, old man LeBron. It baffles me to think that he's still been this dominant. Because when I was 40 years old, the last thing I think about playing a freaking basketball. It's like, are you kidding me? I was like, that shit looks dangerous. Like, but
he can still get 30 a game. He can get 30 a game. He's still crazy.
LeBron's still kicking like that. And it's just like, but can they ever? But how do what do they do? Because if somebody's pissed off right now with Celtics winning, nobody's more pissed off than the Laker fan. Nobody. There's not a person. There's no teams, no organization more pissed off right now at the Boston Celtics than the LA Lakers, LA Fakers.
It's a good place to wrap up. We're going to do it again next week. We'll be back with someone anyways. We continue to look ahead to the season. It's right around the corner. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the start to football season. We can still say, as we sit here right now, the undefeated Patriots in action this weekend. Hopefully.
Hey, who did they play? I didn't even find out. Who did they play last week?
Biggest underdog on the board, man. They were in Cincinnati. Knocked off Burrow chasing the Bengals.
Wow. I didn't even know.
Pretty good. Now we get to see if they can beat the Seahawks. I don't think so. I'm on the Seattle side of things, but I'll root for you, New England. I will. Want to see the Patriots do well. But this is always a great time when we have Cedric Maxwell on with us, of course. Longtime radio analyst for the team. He's part of the Cedric Maxwell podcast, naturally, the namesake, part of the CLNS Media Network. He's got a book. He does it all. In fact, the little birdie told me there's a possibility of a sequel coming to that book, Max. Maybe, just maybe.
Wow, you guys are really good on top of it. I'll wait until I get the check, and then I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
For M. Valenti, for Cedric Maxwell, I am Adam Kaufman. Cedric, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you guys for having me on, and I appreciate it.